Salutations, Illumineers, and welcome back to the Lorcana Rundown. I'm Silver, and as you can see, I'm all alone today. So, we are, as of today, when I'm recording this, 2 weeks out from Rise of the Floodborn. At least, Rise of the Floodborn LGS release, which is November 17th. I figured now would be a good time to sort of take a look at some of the cards from the first chapter that folks might not have on hand that they should probably pick up. I don't know that these cards are going to dramatically spike in price. I'm not saying they're going to automatically shoot from 50 cents to $10, but they're definitely going to increase in utility, if not in price tag. So the first card I wanted to take a look at is Coconut Basket. If you'll remember, that is the 2-drop inkable item in Sapphire. The ability on that is an enter the battlefield effect, where when you play a character, you may remove up to 2 damage from the chosen character. Now, the reason I say that this is probably going to see a major uptick in use once Rise of the Floodborn comes out is because there has been a lot of support spoiled for Amber and Sapphire healing strategies and synergies. So you've got characters coming in like the new Rapunzel, Gifted Artist, who give you additional card draw when you remove 1 or more damage from your characters. So with that, if you have Rapunzel on the field and an active Coconut Basket, every time you play a character and she sees it, if you're removing a damage from a character, you draw a card. And with the current Rapunzel, you get to draw your card for her effect, but you would also get to draw a card because of the Coconut Basket if Gifted Artist is also on the field. So that is definitely something to look out for. I know I've seen some chatter about it, but I feel like people might still be sleeping on it because Coconut Basket's only an uncommon. Second up in green, we've got Lady Tremaine and Do It Again. This is another one that's because of the synergies they're pumping in Rise of the Floodborn. So Lady Tremaine has an ability on her called Do It Again. And the reason I said Do It Again is because it also exists as an action in its own right. So Lady Tremaine Wicked Stepmother is an Emerald Uninkable 6-drop with a 1/5 body. And her ability is when you play this character, you may return an action card from your discard to your hand. Do It Again the actual ability is the same thing, only it's a 3-drop uninkable. Now these are not seeing really any play right now because they're uninkable in Emerald, and Emerald is mostly run in Emerald Amethyst, which is already chock full of uninkables. But stick with me for a minute. So there are going to be major incentives for discard recursion going into Rise of the Floodborn just because of the sheer number of discard cards we're seeing. For instance, we've got Prince John, which was spoiled, where every time your opponent draws a card, you discard a card. And we've seen Hypnotize, which forces your opponent to discard. These are in green. You've also got A Whole New World in Steel, where opponents are discarding up to 7 cards or more, depending on what's in their hand at a time. So discard strategies are going to be coming in a lot more builds with a lot more colors. So recursion's a factor. There's also the fact that in Emerald, you're going to want to be able to bring back your abilities like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, which is the bounce ability they spoiled, where return chosen character of yours to your hand to play another character with the same cost or less for free, and any other actions you might be running. So it's a good option for recursion if you have actions or songs that you're going to be wanting to bring back. It gives you a lot of resistance to wheel effects and other discard effects. So my third pick in Amber for cards to look out for is Sebastian Court Composer. He's not seeing a lot of play right now, even though he's an inkable 2-drop with a 2/2 body and Singer 4. He lets you sing an ability with cost 4 or less as early as turn 2 if you've gotten your lantern out and you were able to drop him for 1 lore or 1 ink. So this really comes into play with some of the songs we've seen spoiled for Rise of the Floodborn so far, like Zero to Hero, which lets you reduce the cost of characters that you play. And then there's also Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, which he would be able to sing early, which again lets you get that character card cheated out for a lower cost or for free. But it's gonna be much more impactful, I think, in the 2-drop slot going into Rise of the Floodborn, just because of the sheer number of song blitz decks that people are going to be trying. So my pick for Amethyst goes back to what I was saying about discard recursion in Emerald, and that's Magic Broom. It's run in a lot of Amethyst decks. It's actually run in most of the Amethyst lists I see, but I don't think people understand just how useful Broom actually is for its recursion. So I'm talking about Magic Broom Bucket Brigade. It's the inkable 2-drop with Sweep. When you play this character, you may shuffle card from any discard into its player's deck. So it's any card. All the other discard recursion cards in the game currently target either specifically a character, an item, or action, or song. The brooms hit everything. This is going to be huge in a world where discard strategies are becoming more and more plentiful. Also, it's just great for bringing back things that you might want again late game or what have you. It's a staple for me in every deck I run that has Amethyst. And I've seen a lot of people, unfortunately, cutting this from their Emerald Amethyst decks to their detriment, I think here. To their detriment, I feel like, just because you really want to be able to get back those Cuscos after they die. I don't know how else to put it. You want things back. Recursion is good. It's cheap recursion, it's good recursion, and it's befuddleable recursion, which is another great thing to keep in mind. For 3 ink, you can get something back the same turn. So for Ruby, I kind of had a tie. I wasn't able to really put a pin in this one because on the one hand, we've got LeFou Instigator, who I love, but I feel like hasn't really found his time to shine yet. So LeFou Instigator is an inkable 2-drop again for in Ruby. He is a 2/2 body, and his ability Fan the Flames is when you play this character, ready chosen character. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. We have a lot of synergies right now with that ability in the first chapter, just because you have characters that can challenge multiple times on their turn, or characters that have activatable effects that you might want to use. I feel like he's still going to be a niche card in Rise of the Floodborn, and I'm not sure if people will be playing him over some of the other options, because there are now characters that will ready themselves when they deal damage. But if he's going to find a spot outside of Sealed, it's going to be at least early in Rise of the Floodborn. That said, 1-drop Mini is definitely a contender for cards to look out for from set 1, just because we saw that really nice shiftable Minnie Mouse spoiled early on for Rise of the Floodborn. She's evasive, she's a 4-drop, she's a 2/3 body, she quests for 1, she's shift 2, which means if you get your 1 lore mini out, you can shift the next turn and have a 2/3 evasive body who's also going to get additional lore when you play a second action on your turn. So that's nothing to really sneeze at. She's a rare, LeFou's a rare, or no, I'm sorry, that I'm still looking at the old one. She's a common, so she's definitely going to be easier to get your hands on than LeFou. She's going to be a lot more useful if you're running a Ruby deck, I think, just in general, because of her ability to be shifted on turn 2. But, yeah, I wasn't able to really decide on that one. Then last but not least, coming up in Steel, card you're probably not using because to this point it's been almost useless, is Break. And that is the inkable 2-drop action which banishes chosen item. we haven't seen a lot of really item-heavy strategies so far in first chapter. Some people have tried to make decks like Tamatoa items and what's the other one that I saw? The aerial combo. They tried to make those work early on, but it just didn't keep up pace with the other decks in the meta. And so item destruction fell by the wayside. I think as we see moving into Rise of the Floodborn, things like Coconut Basket and the Sorcerer's Spellbook that was spoiled coming into play, being able to destroy items is going to be a lot more useful. So I think we'll be seeing more of Break, especially since it is inkable. It's cheap, and it's all around good to be able to just go boop. No, I don't think so. Boop. And it's more effective to just destroy it than, pop it back to hand. So that's pretty much it. A nice quick 6-card list for you today. Things to pick up before Rise of the Floodborn. We had in Sapphire Coconut Basket. In Emerald, Lady Tremaine and her ability Do It Again. In Amber, Sebastian Court Composer. In Amethyst, Magic Broom. In Ruby, I think we're gonna say it's the 1-drop mini for sure. LeFou, I love you. I love you so much. I want you to be good, but you're just not there yet, friendo. And then Break and Steal. So until next time, you've been great. I'm Silver, and thank you for watching the Lorcana Rundown. If you like what you saw, give us a like, share us, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And check out some of the other Game Talk Network shows like Miniatures Rundown and Game Board Run. Check out some of the other Game Talk Network shows like Miniatures Rundown and Board Game Rundown. Thanks, and have a good one.